oxidative, yes.
What kind of alcohol?
All alcohol.
All alcohol.
All alcohol.
Even wine?
Wine is interesting, right? Because you're thinking like red. Yeah, me too. So it's the alcohol thing is tough for me. No, the red wine is interesting because it does have antioxidants in it, but it also has the alcohol in it. So it's two combating problems here. That it's going to give you a benefit, but it's also going to give you something bad. So my answer to that is, if you have to drink and you really want to drink red wine because there is a benefit to it, but you still are getting the alcohol, and the antioxidants in red wine work in a different way. Like they don't block the bad parts of alcohol. So the bad parts of alcohol are going to happen whether you drink red wine or you drink beer or you drink whiskey, right? It's working on a different pathway that the antioxidants will work differently. So that's the best answer I have. So oxidative stress is basically causes, I don't want to get too sciencey on you guys, but the oxidative stress basically is one of the factors that causes cancer. So foods that cause oxidative stress may be implicated in causing cancer. Some of these include refined sugar, so white sugar, added sugar, high fructose corn syrup, all that good stuff. And then animal protein. Animal protein has also been shown to cause oxidative stress. This is also a very individual reaction, and not everybody reacts the same oxidative stress-wise. So we don't really know what causes it and how.
Would you define oxidative stress?
Sure. So oxidative stress happens when you have you have a cell with positively charged electrons, positively charged protons on it. Okay, those, and then sorry. So basically it is not balancedly charged, and those unpaired electrons, that's what it is. The unpaired electrons cause an inflammatory response in your body, and your body's trying to correct this unpaired electron. So, and that causes your immune system to go haywire, and that is oxidative stress. It also causes problems when the cell is dividing during DNA replication of the cells, and that's how you get some genetic mutations, is because of these unpaired electrons causing problems with your immune system. Good test. I wasn't prepared to answer that question. So basically, the link between diet and cancer is still being investigated. It's really hard to pick out.
Yes. Preservatives are also coming out tonight. Cured foods. So
yes.
Right. Cured foods, and I only know this because I'm Japanese, and very high, like pickled kimchi, and pickles, things that are pickled in, preserved in salt.
Yes.
Bad. And they're very bad. They cause a lot of oxidation.
So you should get uncured bacon.
Uncured bacon is a better option than cured bacon, but again, uncured bacon still has quite a bit of salt in it. So.
Fat.
And
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Keep mentioning salt. So is salt worse than sugar, or is it all opposite?
We don't know if salt is worse than sugar.
What salt do
But a lot of added salt is what I'm saying.
But
Right.
in general, like too much salt seems to be a repetition of like, watch out for your salt, watch out for your salt. So what does salt do, or does it?
It's,
high blood pressure.
Yeah, but we're talking about cancer here.
Right.
So,
well, and again, because salt interferes with your hydration. It interferes with your electrolyte balance, and all of these processes that salt interferes with can perpetuate oxidative stress, if that makes sense.
It's also, one of the studies that goes on is in Asian culture. So I say this because I'm Asian, so I know these studies well, is that because they eat such a high salt diet, they have one of the highest incidences in Japan of gastric cancer because of all the preservatives and using salt as a preservative. So it's not that salt is bad. Everybody needs salt. I mean, especially when you're sweating a lot, you need salt in your diet. So it's not, we're not saying don't have any salt. The point of the story is don't have foods that are preserved in a salt brine, all the time. So like, some people brine their turkeys at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So once a year at Thanksgiving, you can brine, that's fine. It's not a problem.
Right.
Once in a while you have your corned beef, and rye, and that's fine. But it's when you do it constantly. So in Asia, every meal has these pickled vegetables, and that's why their rate of gastric cancer is so high, because it's an irritant to it irritates the lining of their stomachs.
But yeah, kimchi is supposed to be very good thing.
It's the garlic, supposedly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it doesn't have as much salt. Well, it does have definitely a lot of salt. But yeah, the garlic is supposed to be good.
Let me just add something to that as well. My concern for you guys specifically with salt is that salt dehydrates you and affects your energy level. So if you're having complications from CLL because of fatigue, that is going to make it even worse. So from a quality of life standpoint, it's better to have less salt because it affects your energy level and your hydration level. Okay, yes, I saw you had a question.
Yes, getting back to the probiotics and
Yeah.
stuff. There's a lot of shows on TV, I guess, that talk about gut flora and, we should eat like sauerkraut, like these, whatever.
Seaweed?
To adjust that. Is there anything to that, or?
Yes and no. And this is the thing with nutrition, is like everyone just wants to know like the truth, right? And that's why I became a dietitian, is because I wanted to know the truth. But we're just as developing as medicine, right? So we're always learning new things about diet. So the answer is usually yes and no, because we don't know everything quite yet. Sauerkraut is a source of probiotics. So there's something to that as well. But again, what do you normally eat sauerkraut with? Hot dogs. What's in hot dogs? Preservatives, salt, fat. Right?
And really nothing else.
Exactly. So
Ketchup and mustard.
yeah. So my thing with probiotics is that you want to get it from a good source, and a source that the bacteria is meant to feed off of, to keep it alive and keep it happy. So those are reasons why when I talk about probiotics, I'm talking about yogurt and kombucha, because those environments have been shown to promote bacteria really well. So those are good for you. And you can take them without having to put them on a hot dog, right?
What is kombucha?
It's like a tea with probiotics in it. Yeah.
Kombucha? Do you make your own kombucha?
I've never done that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes.
Isn't it doing quite a spread here
Yes.
to say, antioxidants do this to cancer, or some of these other things affect cancer? We're using cancer as if it's a specific, narrow field of one thing. Where cancer is so diversified, don't you need to be a little more specific in the, this is bad for this type cancer, but not so bad for this one, well, this over here is that.
And the reason why I don't distinguish right now is because I believe that we do not know enough about specific cancers and specific causes of them from your diet. We just don't know enough because it's hard enough to take any environmental factor and say like more people who eat this get cancer than people who eat that, right? Or than people who don't eat this. So, because those are all associations, so there's no real like causative factor there. So it's really, really hard to tell, which is why I'm just touching on an overview of it, because the specifics are so unknown. Yeah, because there have been studies where they'll say that milk causes breast cancer, and then there'll be other studies that say milk does not cause breast cancer. Well, which do you believe, right? There's not enough evidence to support one or the other.
Depends on what day it is.
Right, exactly. So that's why I talk about, you know, the link between diet and cancer is still being investigated. We don't really know, but some of the things that we know that are being investigated are sugar substitutes. I actually read an article from Harvard where they said that sugar substitutes could be associated with leukemias. But that's just one study and we don't really know, and the association was not that strong. So we don't really know. Other kinds of additives and preservatives, GMOs. GMOs is kind of a buzzword right now. When we talk about GMOs causing cancer, we're more talking about the pesticides that are sprayed on the foods that might cause cancer. And we don't know the association of that as well. Yes?
So does that mean that if you wash very well, it's not as big an issue because you're washing pesticides away?
I don't know. we don't know the effects of how it actually affects like the chemical composition, you know, how much it was exposed to a pesticide. You know, certain foods absorb more pesticides than others. So yeah, we don't know.
See, GMOs is a really big thing because they modify so much where you genetically modify it so much that the plant can absorb more poison. And I mean, it's not a buzzword. I mean, this is a serious.
Well, of course, and I don't mean to, you know, say it's not important. It's just that a lot of people are talking about it, which, you know, is what I mean by buzzword. But we don't know, and I don't feel comfortable telling you guys one way or the other based on what we know now between the link between GMOs and cancer. Yes?
Actually, everything almost in our diet and animals and us and everything else is technically GMO because it's genetically modified. And, you know, over the years we've as a culture selected certain traits that we've decided are desirable, and as the anthropologists say, those individuals had more of a chance to reproduce. And our plants are very selectively chosen.
Right.
Our meat animals are very selectively bred. The only difference I think we're introducing in calling them GMOs is we're modifying them a little quicker.
Right, exactly, and we're modifying them in different ways. So that's all I really want to talk about with that, because we have other things that I think are more applicable to you guys to get to, which is foods that help prevent cancer. That's a little bit easier to investigate, and we know a little bit more about that. So because cancer can be caused by oxidative stress, things that are antioxidants, which neutralize that unpaired electron, are antioxidants, and those can help prevent cancer. So this is a really new and exciting area of nutrition research. And so we're looking at a lot of different fruits, vegetables, spices, teas, stuff like that. So my take-home message for you guys is the bottom line is that a healthy, balanced diet is your best tool to fight CLL, and we don't really know the ins and outs of what causes it. So let's move on to foods that help fight CLL. This is a very new topic, and so, you know, one study will come out and everybody's like, oh, kale cures cancer, that's great news, I'm gonna go and eat like a ton of kale, right? So we don't have consensus on a lot of foods for specific cancers. And like you were saying, it's very true that cancers are all very different. I mean, even different presentations of CLL based on your FISH results respond in different ways to treatment. So we're still discovering a lot about foods that help fight cancer and specific kinds of cancer based on specific genetic mutations. But some of the things that we're looking into right now, the number one thing is green tea. Green tea can help cause those cancer cells that don't die to actually die. And there's been some clinical trials that have been looking into the green tea. They've shown that people in general do respond to green tea as a supplement. So, it's not actually drinking green tea, it's like taking 2 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams of green tea in a pill every single day. Most of those people saw an improvement in the size of their lymph nodes and also saw an improvement in their lymphocytes. The thing is though is that it wasn't, the side effects were actually not that different from side effects that you would see from other CLL treatments. So things like you see a lot of diarrhea and nausea was very common in more than 50% of the participants getting green tea at that high dosage level. Yes?
Back in 2004 or so, or 5, when my wife was diagnosed, there was a study, and we talked to somebody, and there was some kind of bark tea. It was so disgusting that, she started drinking.
You tried to make me drink it.
Right, and she finally couldn't even drink it. But my question is, any other teas besides the green tea that are showing promise? This was some kind of bark tea.
I don't know specifically for CLL, but I do know that other kinds of tea, like black tea, has been shown to have antioxidant properties as well, but it's not something that we know enough about in general, and then specifically in CLL, that I feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, I don't think it would hurt to, drink tea unless it irritates your stomach for some reason. But yeah, tea in general has a lot of antioxidants in it, so, and can have anti-cancer potential. Yes.
So what in green tea, have you isolated anything that in green tea is that?
Yeah, it's EGCG, which is epicatchogallic something. It's yeah. I put the abbreviation on the sheet for you, but it's EGCG, and it's it's basically an antioxidant that's found in high concentrations in green tea. That's been shown to block certain pathways that keep cancer cells alive.
Like it being a therapy, because we've done talks on this about the green tea before, is that if you do green tea in higher concentrations, you have got to let your doctor know, because it can affect your liver function tests. So that was the one thing, the toxicity that they found. So don't just, it's like you have to think about it, okay, if you're going to try and do this as a therapy, you have got to let your doctor know so they can watch your liver.
Okay, Nina first and then back there.
Okay, that was exactly my question was, I don't particularly enjoy green tea, so I bought the capsules, and then I decided not to use them until I talked to Dr. Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let him know.
And the same thing with, not curcumin, but turmeric. You can get drops of turmeric, and I haven't started using them because I don't know if that's too much or
Yes.
too much. Can I ask about the green tea then? If you're not taking the vitamin program, do you have to worry about, if you're just a ordinary person, do you have to worry about not taking drugs, or do you have to worry about your liver with green tea? Is it coffee?
No, not just brewing green tea. You can drink as many cups of green tea.
It's when you get the.
It's when you get the concentrated capsules of the active ingredient, the EGC. I thought it was ECGC, but it's maybe EGC. But anyway, if you get the capsule with the active form in it, it's very, very concentrated.
So if you're not in treatment, you still have to worry.
Correct. Right.
You just have to.
Right. It has nothing to do with whether you do with treatment or not. Even if you're just taking those high concentration capsules, you want to let your doctor know so they can monitor your liver function.
What
You can
dose,
drink all the green tea one, brew it. Yeah.
on the pills, what dose are we
2,000
talking about?
milligrams a day.
Is that what
2
you're, is
grams.
that,
Yeah, 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams, yeah.
so you want to limit it to that at the very least?
That has been the dosage that they've tested in clinical trials to have shown to have a response. Yeah.
These antioxidants, if they're messing with the free electrons, what does that do as far as influencing the covalent bonding of our specific medicines we're taking? Like, all your MABs are covalent bonding and
Right.
some of these others.
That's a really good question. I don't know enough about the specific medications to know if it's going to interfere or not. Sheila, do you know anything?
No, I don't. We usually, and Stephanie just did that for one of our patients. Some of the newer oral ones, like the ibrutinib and the Venclexta stuff, are ones that have a lot of drug-drug interactions with common over-the-counter as well as supplements. So, Stephanie helped one of our patients who's going to go on ibrutinib and went through his things, and we crossed out, many of them. The hard part is that a lot of them we don't know a lot about. We just don't know enough about so usually what the bottom line is, if you don't know, we ask you to stop, because the therapy for your CLL, if you need therapy for your CLL, that's the most important thing. And taking the supplements is really to prevent cancer, and you kind of already have that cancer, so maybe it's better to not take those supplements right now during the therapy.
Yeah, so we know more about how these antioxidants can complicate things that the medicines already complicate. For example, ibrutinib increases your risk of bleeding, right? And a lot of antioxidants are also blood thinners. So anytime I see a patient who's taking blood thinners and is going to go on ibrutinib, you got to cut those out right away, because we say you don't want to be taking any blood thinners when you're on ibrutinib, because that increases your risk. So we know more about how it interacts with the side effects than how it interacts with the drug medication and its actions. Yeah.
Well, what actually thins your blood? When you say your blood becomes thinner, what actually creates your blood to become thinner? Well, what's it taking out?
It decreases the clotting factors for some of them. It really depends on the specific antioxidant.
But when you say, well, I don't know.
But there's
the
the active formium clot. There's
Right.
probably at least 10 different things that they've identified that go into the clot formation, and all of them have different pathways. And you can be -1 and still clot. So even when your platelets are low, people don't just spontaneously bleed. So there's other factors, and it's way too complicated to. They didn't figure out, when they look at the say blood thinners, they didn't actually go down and figure out which of those 10 or 12 different, that's only the ones that they've identified. There probably are more. So it's much more complicated when you say blood thinner. It's not just one thing that happens. It's not just one pathway.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I know about green tea, is that it has been shown in humans to improve CLL, presentation. But talk to your doctor before trying anything. And what we don't know is what it's like coming from your diet. Like if you drink, 3 cups of green tea a day, how that is different than taking the pill. I'm a big proponent of whole foods and, avoiding supplements, because there's less of a chance of something bad happening. But we don't know what that does to your CLL yet. That's something that needs to be investigated. Curcumin is another one that's being investigated. Curcumin has only been studied it's never been studied in humans. It's all been done like in petri dishes or in mice. But they are looking at curcumin as a potential for specifically CLL treatment as well. And they're actually looking at it combined with green tea.
Is that the same as cumin, or it's a different spice?
No, curcumin is actually a component of turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
Should you take turmeric or cumin?
Well, you,
If you're taking turmeric and you're taking the curcumin.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Yes.
Some sort of-
exactly. But again, we don't know, what's the effect in people. Curcumin is a known blood thinner, so we want to be careful about that as well. And we don't know what it's like coming from your diet as opposed to coming from a supplement. Cruciferous vegetables, so things like cabbage, watercress, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, have been shown to have, and I'm completely blanking on the antioxidant that's present in them, but it's been shown to be a very powerful antioxidant as well. And they've started studying the extracts of cruciferous vegetables as potential specifically for CLL, but also cancer in general. So that's something to look into as well. And then other potentials, which I couldn't find anything specifically on CLL, but I do know that the antioxidants in berries, plums, and flaxseed work on kind of the similar pathways that these other active components work on, as well as some of the CLL drugs as well. It works on the same pathways. So those are things that we need to study, but nutrition does not get a lot of funding to do these things, so it's something to look into. And my personal belief is that everyday consumption of these foods is not harmful to you. So you can incorporate these into your lifestyle now, and maybe it has a beneficial effect on specifically your CLL, but we know it has a beneficial effect on your health in general, so why not give it a try? Yes?
Flax seeds versus oil, flaxseed oil.
There is. So the oil that comes from flaxseed is the active component. So yes, you can get the benefit from flaxseed oil. However, we don't know how much, like if you're buying processed flaxseed oil, I don't know how much that property degrades as time goes on. So I think the best way to get flaxseed is to take whole flaxseed and grind it up like in a coffee grinder, and then add it to like baked goods or cereals or something like that. Whole flaxseed will not give you the oil because it's all tied up in the seed, and you don't really digest the seed. Whole flaxseed is better for fiber, whereas ground flaxseed is better for getting the beneficial oil from it. So personally, grinding up your own flaxseed is the best way to get that. Any questions on these fun active components? I can always tell that people, when I talk to them about active components and cancer, that they're disappointed that I don't have like the silver bullet like ready to cure your cancer. But I would rather give you guys the accurate information than tell you, what you want to hear, which is that, like you said, I'm going to try carrots and kale and see if it helps. But the bottom line is that we're still learning a lot about this because this topic is fairly new, and that you can healthily and safely incorporate these things into your diet now, and maybe it's going to have a beneficial effect for you. It also might depend on your specific genetic presentation of CLL. So I also included for you guys what like a good healthy diet to help fight your CLL and its side effects. So feel free to look that over. It's kind of a generic plan. Again, I didn't include portion sizes because portion sizes are very dependent on each person. And then just some other quick healthy eating tips. Buy a vegan or vegetarian cookbook and cook from it 1 to 2 times a week. Like, you don't have to go full vegetarian, right? But you can incorporate more plant-based foods into your diet, and that's going to have a beneficial effect on your energy, on your oxidative stress, and your CLL and your health in general. So cooking vegetarian meals is a great tool to do that. If you're busy like me, you can cook, because one of the bad things, one of the worst things that you can do is eat out for lunch, right? And you like don't know what to eat for lunch, so you go out. So instead of having to cook something for lunch every day, which is your best option, is to have, you know, a home-cooked meal for lunch every day, make something at the beginning of the week. Just make a big batch of it and eat it throughout the week. That makes it a lot easier to be successful. I know, especially if you're like me and you go to Trader Joe's and you're hungry and you just like grab stuff off the shelves, and then I come home and I have like 6 boxes of JoJo's and I'm like, well, now I have to eat all of these. Don't buy things that you know you don't want to eat, but you want to eat, right? So just don't have them in the house. If you don't have them in the house, that's a better way to cut it out of your diet. Yeah.
Have they done any studies where, like, I guess it's Italy and those places where they have their main meal in the middle of the day and then a snack at night? Is that like helpful, or have they just not studied that yet?
I'm sure they've studied it. I will look into that for you, and I'll get in touch with you somehow, because that's actually a really good point, is, you know, the timing of your large meal of the day. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can definitely find that for you. I think that's everything. Just remember that I don't want you guys to come out of this meeting and think like, oh, I'm going on this diet that this dietitian at the cancer center told me to go on. Like, this is a lifestyle, and you're supposed to enjoy your lifestyle, right? It's yours. Like, take ownership of it. So enjoy. Like, don't look at
things you don't like. And cutting out all the sugar, the good stuff.
Exactly. And I know it's hard, right?
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
But it's doable if you take it, you know, one little step at a time, and you think about it in the sense that I'm not just doing this because a dietitian told me to do it. I'm doing this because it's going to help me fight my disease, right? It's like you're coming to appointments every 4 weeks, every 12 weeks at the cancer center. It's taking your medications every day. It's just a bigger implication, a bigger part of your life than that. But it is a very important part of your life that I think, CLL aside, will improve your overall quality of your life as you age and as you go through CLL and its treatment. Any questions before we close up? Anything we didn't touch on that you'd like to know more about? Maybe I could get something together for another talk.
Is it sulfate? That's what the Brussels sprouts are things?
That's actually one of them, but it's more of a class that sulforaphane is a part of. Yes. Yeah.
Chinese napa cabbage, would that fit in that
Yes.
category?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, you guys. I do have my business card here for my contact info here at the Cancer Center. So I'm here every day 8 to 4:30. So if you would like to give me a call or send me an email, I'm here. And then also I have my personal dietitian email available for you on my handout.
I don't know, I just looked close at it, I get tired, it's on every day.